Hey guys, today we're taking a look at my Nordic Alfar deck, or Loki deck as you might call it. This deck was requested by Monster Arrow, and all the Nordic decks just are based on summoning a very powerful synchro monster, depending on which type of Nordics you're using. So this deck focuses on summoning Loki. It has really good synchro power. Loki is a very powerful card, so if you can get him out and support him really well, your opponent's going to be in trouble. So first off, we have 3 Mara. Mara is a very powerful card, giving you access to instant synchros very quickly. Very nice with this deck. And then we have Ljosalf, giving us some swarming power with other cards in the deck, letting us XYZ and synchro very quickly. Also very important that he's 4-star for Mara. And then Tyre, beater, but you need to have another Nordic monster on the field to keep him out. If you do though, easy XYZ, and also easy use for Mara as well, so definitely a nice card to have. And then Svartalf, a little bit harder to use, a 5-star single tribute, but you can get this guy out with Ljosalf's special effect. So if you're using Cyber Dragon like I am, you could do some interesting plays, which I'll talk about. But also very nice that you can recycle from the graveyard with Svartalf as well. Now Cyber Dragon, so Cyber Dragon's a really good card for this deck. Combined with him and Ljosalf, you can start swarming and synchro summoning very quickly. Not really more about Loki, more about the fact that you can synchro summon, swarm the Nordic monsters. Easy play is summon Cyber Dragon, then summon Ljosalf, who can summon Svartalf, do a 5-star XYZ, and have Ljosalf on the field as well. So it gives you some big power in this deck. Yeah, so I just like using Cyber Dragon. With Cyber Dragon and like Effect Veiler and some other cards, you can still do some other synchros in combination. So there are some other plays you can do, but more for that nice power and XYZ. Having a level 5 or higher monster is just really nice for Ljosalf to activate his effect. And then Garmr. Garmr can be very useful to bounce your opponent's cards, and again, having 4-star Nordic monsters makes Loki very easy with Mara, so very good to have access to these cards. And then Effect Veiler, very good for this deck, obviously giving you some more synchro power and being able to get rid of your opponent's effects, which is very important, especially to protect your high-level synchros. Definitely a good light and dark hybrid deck, so we have Blackluster Soldier and Chaos Sorcerer. And then we have Dverg. Dverg's really nice that you can kind of swarm with your Nordics, also because he's a level 1 Nordic, gives us access to other synchros and a bunch of other different plays we can do, which is really nice as well. So now for the spell cards, we're running very few spell cards. I'll talk about that right now because we have 3 MSTs, but we're also running Secret Village of the Spellcasters. So because we're focusing on Spellcasters and traps, and not really focusing on spells, this card really can lock down things. Bring out Loki, kind of negate traps, protect protect yourself from your opponent's cards, and have this on the field, which is very powerful. So that's why we're not running too many spells. More of a trap-based deck because that's how Loki works. And then Forbidden Dress, just very good in this deck to protect you, and 1 Dark Hull. For the traps, we're going to have 3 of the Search card. Very nice to have this just to fill your hand up with whatever you need. Very easy to do whatever plays you want when you could search out your entire deck for Nordics. And then 2 Nordic Relic, Megingjord. There's other Nordic relics, but I find that this one's just really powerful. Loki's going to have 6600 attack when you use this card, so very powerful in the right situation. And then just staple traps, not too much to say there. So now for the extra deck, obviously going to have a good amount of synchros. We have a huge variety of levels in this deck, so there's a lot of other options that are not in here. So I'm just using what I think will be the best ones for this deck. So Catastor, Black Rose, Stardust, Scrap Dragon, 2 Lokis. You could run a 3rd one if you want, up to you. Very powerful card. Can negate spells and traps. Can get traps back from the graveyard. Can resummon himself. Just very powerful. And then 1 Star Eater. Able to get that out with some of the cards we have in this deck. So now for the XYZs, we have a few 1-stars, so Slacker Magician. Just in case, with 2 Maras, if you don't have your cards, you can get out Gachi Gachi. Exciton Knight, Silent Honor, we have a good amount of 4-stars. Gagaga Cowboy, Maestroke. We do have ability to get out 5-stars as well, so Tiras and Volcasaurus are very powerful 5-stars that you can use. So now for the side deck. Again, side decks in my videos are kind of just recommended cards that can work for this deck when you want to build it yourself. It is in the side deck for matches. These are not cards that I want you to think about siding. These are cards I want you to think about when you're building the deck yourself. You can definitely run other 4-stars that are useful. Breaker can be nice for blowing up your opponent's back row. especially because he's a spellcaster as well. Level Eater can run into some interesting plays you can do with this deck, so definitely thinking about that. There's a bunch of other synchros you can run, like Mistworm. We could bring out a lot of different synchros. The Nordic Lights is the field card. I don't like it very much, but it's out there if you want to use it. Burial from a different dimension can be very useful for this deck, especially with how Loki works. You want to keep having those tuners in the graveyard. You can run like Diffusion Wave Motion to have Loki blow up your opponent very quickly. You can run something like Bound 1, make sure Loki comes back without using your tuners. Forbidden Lance is an alternative to Forbidden Dress. Other traps, Rebound. If you really think Loki's going to get bounced, this can be useful. Nordic Relic, another one. There's a bunch of other ones, but I think this one and the one I'm using are probably the best. This one can be really nice for blowing up your opponent when you're defending. You can run something like Skill Prisoner. That's a new card from Legacy of the Valiant. Can be very useful to annoy your opponent. Pinpoint Guard can be interesting to bring back your monsters. Very important to get those monsters out quickly for what you need to do. You can run 7 Tools of the Bandit. Obviously, traps can be annoying for this deck, but we do have ways to deal with that without having to pay life points. You can run like Enlightenment and combine that with Nordic Relic. If you can like do a double attack, you can do some really crazy stuff with Loki, so that's an interesting card. And Dark Illusion, another card just to protect you, kind of like Forbidden Lance and Forbidden Dress. So that's my Loki deck, just a synchro-based deck that focuses on one very powerful card. Very fun to play. Not sure if it can be that competitive because it's so focused on like one strategy, but it can really lock down your opponent when you have the right things going on, and it's just really fun to bring out Loki and blow up your opponent. But if you guys have your own Nordic Alfar or Loki decks, you can post below, let me know in the comments. You can make suggestions for me. Maybe there's some cards I didn't think about that could be useful for this deck. I'd definitely love to hear that, so let me know. But as always, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you later.